There are 5 basic tastes. You've probably heard of them. Sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. But there's an incredibly vast world of food and flavors. So what exactly is flavor? And can I, just a regular guy, really figure out how to understand and enjoy food even more than I do? So I talked to some experts, and it turns out that I can. And so can you. But you have to start somewhere. I'm Evan Young, and this is Fever for Flavor. I don't quite remember when I started drinking coffee, but I suspect it was at some point in college when I needed to stuff as much caffeine into my underslept and over-hangovered face to make it through midterms. But back then, coffee was simply a vehicle to transmit as much caffeine into my bloodstream as I possibly could. Now, coffee is an entirely different source of joy. I'm the one that sets the machine every single night, and it's among the first things I wake up to every single morning. A nice dark roast that slaps you awake with a daily jolt of complex flavor and aroma. A joke that way too many people in my life have heard me say is that at any given point, my body is composed of about 88% caffeine. But when you go to a great cafe, it's not just about the coffee, right? Of course not. You gotta have a little bit of a pastry too. Maybe a plain croissant on some days. Maybe there's caution to the wind. We'll do a chocolate croissant, maybe a beignet kind of thing. Or maybe a sticky bun, which, one of my absolute favorites, you can get from Dots in Ocean City, New Jersey. The hunt for people who understand flavors with serious depth and complexity, like coffee and wine, but who also understand the importance of the on-site customer experience, eventually led me to 2 people. Kelsey Bush, chef and owner of Green Engine Coffee, Bloomsday, and Loretta's, and Sara May, the events and operations manager for the Bloomsday restaurant group. Together, these self-proclaimed GAB specialists and food and flavor veterans bring decades of experience covering the many ways that coffee, pastries, and an excellent dining experience can be delivered. So I sat down with them at Bloomsday with a sampling of orange dew and toad-skin melon, and from white chocolate pistachio danishes to Pop-Tarts, we chopped it up. That's coming up next on Fever for Flavor. We are here with Kelsey and Sara. Thank you very much. We're back here in the event space at Bloomsday.
Right.
So before we even talk a little bit more about all the different kinds of things, I'm really curious to hear from you about how your businesses are run, your relationship with food and with flavor specifically. My last question about this melon here, since we just tried a bunch, do you think that any of these are different enough from what you're serving that you might think about incorporating it? And what do you do with a melon?
Well, I think for obvious reasons, melon and cantaloupe with prosciutto or serrano ham is freaking delicious. It's just like the juiciness of that counteracts the meatiness of like any cured meat of any sort. So I know it's so obvious and on the nose, but it's obvious on the nose for a reason. Like it's delicious.
Yeah. I love cooking and baking with fruit, and I've thought a lot about melon to do this. And you can't really bake with melon, can you? But I have found that if you dehydrate melon, it tastes like candy. It's like a chewy fruit candy, especially cantaloupe. Cantaloupe is particularly delicious, dehydrated. Yeah. You can fold that into all kinds of granolas and stuff like that.
Yeah. Dried mango in my house goes like that.
Exactly.
So I do want to start broad. Do you have a personal relationship with flavor? And that's meant to be a very broad question, open to interpretation, and then we can maybe go from there.
So yes, of course I have a personal relationship with flavor because I think, I don't want to say 95% of my decisions revolve around flavor, and I know this sounds crazy in some regard, but I just got back from a trip to Australia with my boyfriend, meeting his family and all this stuff, and we were there for 3 weeks, had a great time, but a lot of my life experiences revolve around food. They revolve around trying different people's foods, different cultures' foods, different restaurant experiences, different flavor profiles. So the biggest thing that I took away from was we went to this bakery and it was palmier that had cumin and fennel seeds put into it. And so it was mixing the savory and the sweet. And I literally came back and I was like, Sara, I had this great pastry. And she's like, in the entire 3 weeks? I said, in the entire 3 weeks, this palmier. But it was just the fact that I had never had something like that. They were mixing saffron with vanilla in a very interesting way. for me, I think about that trip and then I'll think about that palmier. So I always associate life experiences and memories within flavor. My first food memory was peanut butter toast from my grandma, and she would make that every single time that I would come over. I don't honestly know when it stopped because I still always think about peanut butter toast with my grandma. The great thing about flavor is that everything that we eat is a memory of the first time that you ate it. So it's a great way to have new experiences with people. So if you've never had something that I have, we're creating a new memory for you, a new experience for you if we're sharing that together. And that's the great thing about food in general. But when you think about flavor itself, it's so much associated with memory.
Yeah.
One of my childhood staples was a peanut butter, honey, and raisin open toast kind of sandwich.
Yeah.
That was one of my, I think it might have been one of my father's specialties, but that's awesome because the raisins give you like a little bit of the chewiness, the honey soaks into the toast.
That's very interesting that you were a child welcome to raisins, because I feel like people are very torn on them.
They're I could never eat raisins whole. I still wouldn't just sit there and eat raisins because that does gross me out a little bit. But yeah, to mix them into a sandwich. And then I swung over as an adult now to the Elvis peanut butter, honey, raisin. Excuse me, peanut butter, honey, banana. Yeah, slam dunk sandwich. Second thing, palmier? I have no idea what that is.
So palmier is croissant dough that gets layered with sugar.
Okay.
And then it is folded like an elephant ear. Also as a cookie that could be known as elephant ear. And then it gets baked. It's cut very thinly. They're very broad, but then cooked very crispy. So it's very crunchy, and I freaking love coffee. So I'm always looking for something that's nice to go with coffee. So biscotti is really nice, but a palmier is like the French version. I believe it's from France.
It sounds like you're constantly taking notes. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah.
So much so that the people close to me, whenever we go out to eat, before we sit down at the table, they're like, where do you want to sit? Because they've learned I want to experience the whole thing. I'll watch a kitchen. I'll watch the service staff. I'll watch like customers coming in. I'll see not so much food that's coming out of the kitchen to be like, ooh, I should have got that. It's not so much food envy. It's just like, I want to see the entire experience. And in addition to me enjoying it, so much so my boyfriend's like, is this an experience trip or are we just eating?
Really?
And
So everybody knows. Okay. Yeah. That's the Wild Bill Hickok back to the wall, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so how would you answer that then, Sarah?
Oh, I would say that I'm also equally obsessed with flavor. When people ask me what my hobbies are, I really have a hard time answering that question because, I'm like very privileged to be working in the food industry because I truly, truly love it. And my hobbies are cooking and thinking about new menus and looking at cookbooks. And so, I started my career as a pastry chef, which was such a, I think, interesting way to approach learning about flavor because desserts are sweet and a lot of people sort of just stop there. But if you are truly, into the world of dessert and into the world of pastry, you understand that just like in savory food, it's all about balance. So yeah, of course, maybe sweet is the prominent element there, but it needs to be balanced with acidity, with salt, with texture. So yeah, flavor is absolutely important. And I absolutely share Kelsey's proclivity to go into a restaurant and be watching the show the whole time. When Kelsey and I go out to eat together, we're both like, just looking around the whole time. What's over there?
Yeah. Oh, I think it's hilarious that you're saying that the people around you are aware of these habits, and I guess they've accepted them. But absolutely. That's great. So a note about salt, and I suspect everybody probably knows this intrinsically because I think most people understand that there's salt in a chocolate chip cookie. But is it true then that most desserts are really nothing without salt?
100%.
Hot take. This is like the hill she is dying on.
Every time we go out to eat together, I'm like, you know what I'm going to say about this dessert, Kelsey, right? And she says, yep, more salt.
So much so that if I'm eating out and get a dessert, I'll text her and be like, this one had salt. You need to try it.
Well, salt is a flavor enhancer, first of all, and it's a huge complement to the flavor of sweet. So if a dessert does not have salt in it, it's flat.
Yeah.
I also think that like the desserts, when you find one that is salted quite well and seasoned quite well, and it can be different herbs and spices and things like that, it shows the roundness of the professional putting it out. We get divided into two camps. You're either pastry chef or you're culinary. And if you're those two things, we get forced to interact, but we don't like it. If you want to bake, you want to be a baker. You don't want to cook. And if you want to cook, you don't want to bake. Why would we bake? But we're in this world now where we're like crossing over a lot for financial reasons, for just your interest. And I think when you see and experience something that it's like, oh, this chef is very well-rounded, you appreciate it more. Yeah. They're like mixing the two worlds, appreciating the two. It's the conversation we have with our pastry team all the time of just being like, now try this with a little bit more. And he always laughs at us because he's like, Kelsey's going to say it needs more salt. And Sarah's like, it needs more salt.
Yeah. So you haven't answered the question that I opened with yet. What is your relationship with flavor?
Yeah, I mean, well, as I mentioned, I started as a pastry chef, so I think that my education in flavor really began there. Obviously, I was a human and an adult before I got into that, so had an awesome upbringing. My mom's a great cook. My family is a big pie making.
Okay, so where are we at on the pie versus cake argument?
Because team pie.
When I was a kid, it was always pie. I loved the goopier, sugarier texture, but I have utterly swung over to cake.
I mean, wow.
Yeah. Wow. Do people not change from one to the other?
I don't think that they do.
Really? Okay.
I really don't.
All right.
I'm so fascinated right now. And the reason why is I think that desserts, specifically like pie and cake and cookies, pie, cake, cookies, you can have that fun cookie that you'll have, but it'll never be your childhood memory of what these desserts are supposed to be. And I feel like I'm going to go broad and say, does every culture have their version of a cake and a pie and a cookie? Because I think that they're the pillars of desserts. And then you can throw ice cream in there, but ice cream is its own category. It's not dessert.
Yeah. Wow. Bold statement.
I don't know. I will say that mochi, for example, I think is very popular, and I wouldn't have any idea what to categorize that as.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely some kind of a sweet
I think
and
it's a
tasty
subcategory. The only reason why is because I don't want to pick between cookie, cake, and pie.
You don't want to be forced to.
And so it's dessert, tiramisu, of course, but that's not a cookie, cake, or a pie. So, but I have a cookie, cake, and a pie that I love.
Yeah.
And then tiramisu is my dessert.
Oh, no.
And then I have ice cream.
We're about to have a fight about tiramisu because if you were to show me a list of 25 desserts, unfortunately, that is number 25 for me.
I'm with you.
What?
I'm with
you're with me?
I am.
Awesome.
What? Don't get mad.
You had no idea.
I don't even like pudding, and I just freaking love tiramisu.
That's the hilarious thing. I love pudding.
Yeah, she does.
I love pudding.
But tiramisu?
It's a consistency thing.
Yeah.
First off, I don't like that mousse kind of consistency on things, and that light airiness. It just doesn't. I feel like I've always had it like that, and whether that's the way it should be or not. But then I don't know. It doesn't. Ice cream or just a firmer kind of cake that I can get in.
Have you ever had dirt dessert?
What dessert?
Dirt dessert?
Dirt dessert?
Oh my God.
What is a dirt dessert?
He's had to have
I might have had it, but I
Oreos
don't know
with chocolate pudding, Cool Whip, and the gummy worms on top.
Okay. Yeah, got it. The kids will,
The American version of tiramisu.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Did an Italian chef just die somewhere?
Seriously.
That's what we do best.
We're full of hot takes today.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I've seen people eat that. I can't say that I would eat that. But even as a kid, if I got a sundae, I would scrape the whipped cream off because I just not a mousse whipped cream, puffy, kind of empty thing.
Well, do you like real whipped cream?
Yes. Yeah,
see?
Sure.
That's an evolved flavor profile, in my opinion. Because I also, as a kid, did not like whipped cream. But when I made whipped cream, I'm like, this is good. Now will I eat aerated whipped cream? Of course.
Yeah. Straight from the can. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, the homemade whipped cream, I love that stuff because you can get it to the consistency that you really want. And for me, I'm going to get it a bit thicker than your average.
We're talking, I think, more about texture here than we are about flavor. But I mean, that's fair enough. Texture is a huge part of how you experience.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the most important part.
Oh.
Do you really?
I really do.
Do you really? Okay.
I do. Because Miss Sara loves panna cotta.
I do.
And I cannot stand panna cotta. Again, I'll still eat it, but I will let her know, other than her not letting me know about tiramisu.
Yeah.
I will let her know I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, I think panna cotta is a bit of an acquired texture thing.
100%.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I feel like probably most kids, and I remember myself as a kid, I'm not.
Oh, you weren't a Jell-O kid? Because that's a very analogous thing to me.
You will die
I can't
when you hear what I'm about to tell you. When I was a kid, I would eat Jell-O. Sure, Jell-O was around. It was actually way more popular as a dessert because there was.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, of course.
My grandma had like a lobster Jell-O mold that I would eat a spoonful of Jell-O, swish it around in my mouth until it turned back into liquid, spit it into the spoon again, and then eat it again.
Dang.
Wow.
Very, very disgusting.
So you just wanted
adult.
hot Kool-Aid.
I don't know what I wanted.
think.
I was more just bored and trying to make the Jell-O last as long as I could.
Sure.
Yeah, but that's disgusting.
Kids are disgusting.
Yeah.
Kids
This
are
is an
disgusting.
audio podcast. The look was a look of pure disgust that but that's fine. Yeah.
Kids are disgusting.
Kids are weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah. But to get back to what you just said about texture over flavor, why do you think that that's the case?
Because I think texture makes or breaks anything. Like you can have something undersalted, over-soured, overly sweet, but if you don't like that texture, you will not put it in your mouth. And so it's for the same reason of like, if you already have a predisposed idea of what that texture is going to be and you don't want to have that texture in your mouth, it could be the best thing ever, but you will not do it. And that's why I think texture is huge.
I agree.
And I have done a few different kids classes. Specifically, we had a group of kids out at Green Engine, and they were 12 to 14 years old, and they got to have lunch. And so we had what, in my opinion, was a simple menu, approachable, but like a little bit more involved. And there was just kids who would not do anything other than a grilled cheese. And like there were kids that were like eating an apple and prosciutto and brie sandwich, right? There was a spectrum. And this girl was just like, no, I just know I will not like it. At what point in time do we start trying things that we don't like in the framework of being like, I'm curious?
Yeah.
And where I came and sat with it was alcohol. I think it's when you start drinking and you drink for peer pressure, because no one drinks a beer and thinks a beer tastes good.
Yeah.
You cannot sit here and tell me that your first beer was delicious.
Right.
Your first beer is your association of, you might be having it with your dad or your group of friends or drunk at a party or something like that. And you keep drinking it to be included.
Yeah.
It's not because you like beer. And then you develop a palate for it. And it's the same thing with like Campari and like bitter things, coffee.
Yep.
You start with a Frappuccino and then get to the cold brew. You don't start the other way around.
Yeah, there's a lot of research too about the bitterness component of flavors being a flavor that we develop an appreciation for later in life.
Mm-hmm.
So, like younger folks, their brains are just wired not to enjoy bitter things.
I actually feel like I read something that bitter is almost wholly acquired.
Yeah.
Because it's a human evolutionary protection mechanism.
Poisonous things are bitter.
So we can all come to really enjoy, obviously, and really appreciate bitter things, but like it doesn't ever really start that way, which is interesting to think about. But the thing in my house and even in my childhood that now as a parent I've kind of pulled forward was always try everything once. I don't care. Like you have to try it once. That's the rule. And to whatever degree that you just talked about, that a kid will say, I'm not trying that because I know I won't like it. I almost feel like, unfortunately, that's like a bit of a parent problem.
So when I was growing up, my mom will always talk about, she's like, you kids always ate really well. I'm one of 3 kids. My mom would graciously cook, but she was not a good cook. And she'll still admit it. She's not a good cook. So much so, as a child, I hated pasta. I would go to Olive Garden with my family and I would get the pizza there because I hated pasta. And everyone's like, I hated mac and cheese. I hated everything. But it was because of how my mom made it. It's not because I didn't like pasta.
Yeah.
And so, but it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized that, going to culinary school and like making pasta, being like, oh no, mom just didn't know how to make pasta. And like she was doing the best that she could, and she would be laughing at this. I think we have so many of those associations as a kid and like your first trying of things. Some of it is exposure, because like the first time I had an oyster, it wasn't until I was 18 and I still didn't like it.
Yeah.
And it's only through immersion therapy of us going out to eat and force feeding me oysters that I've like started to grow a palate for it. But I think, again, it's just opportunity of being able to try things versus actually denying of it. I would say more so than anything else.
Yeah.
As a texture person, though, the fact of you talking about oysters in there, which are a very hard texture as a human to begin to appreciate. But think about the flip side. I think once you can get past the texture, flavor when it comes to oysters it's like miraculous. You know?
Well, I also think that that's a cultural thing. I think it's a very American way of looking at flavor is to focus on textures like crispy or crisp in general. That's a very American way to eat. Other cultures really do have a lot more, for lack of a better word, like slime. That like mucilaginous kind of thing is very, very common in a lot of different cultures. So I think it's absolutely influenced by where you grew up and what you grew up eating. So that is a craveable texture for a lot of folks in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're developing a dish or a dessert or a pastry, then are you starting with what you want that texture to be, or are you starting with what you want the food to taste like?
No, I think it's all a balance.
Okay.
Everything's a balance, because it's like if you're looking at it from a menu side of an aspect, you're trying to hit different menu marks, like menu mix of what you're trying to sell. And then that dish itself, you're trying to make sure is it sweet? Is it savory? Salty? Is it meaty? Umami? The whole entire thing. Like you're trying to balance it all. But if you yourself are just cooking for yourself, I definitely would be like, here's a salad, let me throw some pumpkin seeds on there so I get some crunch. It's not so much that I want the toastiness of the pumpkin seeds. I want the crunch of the pumpkin seeds.
So is that menu, the swath of flavors that you're trying to cover at a pastry place or at a dessert, is it the same thing? I mean, do you want to cover a wider range? Because I sort of think of the dessert pastries as a pretty tight window, but I may be wrong about that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think absolutely. Again, I think that dessert in particular gets pretty siloed into just being a sweet thing. But if you are a smart pastry chef, and we're lucky to work with some smart pastry chefs, that is absolutely in play. Yeah, you have your beginning note. I'm going to base this dessert around plums because plums are in season. Plums have, a lot of sweetness, but also plums are pretty sour and have that nice sort of bitter element from their peel. But plums are also, kind of a soft, squishy fruit. So how am I going to add something that contrasts that texturally?
Then it's a little bit what's in season, what's available to you. And then walk me through, okay, like what's the order of operations then? I want to put something new on the menu.
Right.
What is the very first thing that you start with?
Are you talking about pastry, or are you
Sure,
talking?
let's talk about pastries, but
pastry?
I'm curious too on the more traditional.
Well,
kind of
I think it's a different thing. So pastries itself, your menu mix can hit all the different things. Each individual pastry might not hit all those different things, but you will want to make sure you have a savory pastry from a ham and cheese croissant down to just a plain croissant, because you hit those. You'll have a chocolate. Chocolate is huge to make sure you have chocolate on your menu. You'll have nuts, and we won't have as many nut products out at Green Engine as we'll have at Loretta's. There's just more nut version out there. Don't know why, just that's listening to our community, right? Here down at Loretta's, we'll have savory pastries as far as like a seasonal savory pastry. So the tomato Danish just came off, but that's like something we look forward to every single year, and it's super delicious. But then we'll also have, I hate saying regular Joe, but like our raisin Danish to me is the thing that crosses so many different realms, but it's like that secret sleeper of a Danish, so that you have it and it's delicious, but if you don't have it, people get really upset. It's like they want that raisin Danish. But the like sexy older sister is the white chocolate pistachio Danish, and everyone wants white chocolate pistachio. But then we'll have our Pop-Tart, which is completely different dough. It's seasonally filled, but also has a bright colored frosting on the outside, so kids get it. I always say that parents feel better about giving our Pop-Tart to their kids than what they would from the grocery store, because like no preservatives, all that stuff.
I mean, it's only barely food. With the Pop-Tart is really mostly not food. I mean, honestly, when you look at the ingredients, which I'm a very ingredient, aware person.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think a homemade Pop-Tart that comes out of a place like yours, absolutely, I wouldn't worry about.
I also think like for parents, we're giving, as you said, we're a lot more ingredient forward thinking and like what is going into it. You brought it up about the dried mango a little bit ago. Yeah. I think now as we've become a little bit more aware of what's going into these processed goods that we were raised on, doesn't mean that we're angry about the goods. We're just angry about the ingredients that the goods are in. So we give that platform to give the parent the option to share that memory with their kid, which I think is really sweet. It doesn't mean it's healthy. by any means.
Yeah.
It's not healthy.
Don't get it twisted.
It's just like you can name every ingredient that's in it.
Sure. Yeah. It's an actual, you can sound it out.
Right.
Yeah. So, Sarah, you've known Kelsey for a while, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like maybe she dodged my question? Because
what was the question?
Well, so I think the question is, what is that very first step after you've identified, okay, I want to do something kind of generally in this category? And the reason I'm asking about that is I am trying to figure out what has to come first by definition, or is there nothing that can, because there's all these factors. And I mean, are you trying to think of the flavor first? Are you trying to think of the texture first? Are you trying to think of the ingredients? Are you trying to think about the business end? Are people going to buy this thing? You know, are they going to want to ultimately put money down for it?
I think that in the restaurant, the answer is yes to all of that, right? And I know that's not a very satisfying answer when you're trying to like really drill down in the basics.
No, it's fine.
But, you know, we do have to think about every single one of those things. I mean, so like if the great thing about working in a restaurant program, pastry specifically, but this also definitely applies to savory, is that you start with a base already. Like you have, well, first of all, you have like, okay, we did this particular Danish last year at this time and it sold very well. We should do that again. Or we did this particular Danish last year and it didn't sell well. So let's think about something else. But we already have the dough ready. So we have this great dough. Awesome. We're going to use this dough. What flavors work well with this dough? Savory flavors work best with this dough. Okay, cool. So what's in season? Okay, we can get squash right now. I'm just picking stuff out of the air, but we can get squash right now. Let's try a little squash Danish. Oh, you know, we did a tester that didn't really work. Texture wasn't right. What are customers asking for? What is trending on TikTok right now?
That's huge.
Dubai chocolate, as everybody's been.
Exactly. So all of these things, it's not just, you know, sometimes it is just one thing, but very rarely it is mostly, and I'm sorry, it's like kind of a disappointing answer, but.
No, it's fine. And I make fun. I think you did a great job with the question. And as a total side note, I just mentioned Dubai chocolate. I was in a sandwich place, like a Philly Italian style sandwich place, and it's signed on the counter, "We have Dubai chocolate." Like, I'm not here for your Dubai chocolate,
economy,
unfortunately.
baby.
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting.
Yeah.
So generationally, so like the TikTokers, if you want to say like the younger generation of early 20s, they're all about those flavor profiles because they want to have those experiences. So it's way more experiential than it is so much that I want to go to that Italian bakery and eat Dubai chocolate. It's more about going to the places that are selling the chocolate way more so than having that product. Because if it was more about the product, you could just go to Whole Foods and buy that chocolate bar and be like, I'm eating Dubai chocolate. That's delicious. But it's more about the people that are Shake Shack making the Dubai chocolate Shake Shack. So that you want to go to Shake Shack to buy that shake more so than anything else, in my opinion, about these viral trends.
Sure.
But us as a business, we can really make our spins on it and be able to capitalize on something that someone made popular. As long as, to me, and this is the line that I always draw, as long as it makes brand alignment sense. So it's like, I don't want to put a flavor profile like, I think it's the purple, like, what was that drink that you had? Ube, right?
Yeah.
But it's like something that, it's a great flavor profile. Does it fit our flavor profile? No. So that's why it's like, I don't want to just put it on because it's trendy. I want to put it on because it's authentic. So that's how I feel about a lot of things. As long as the trends are authentically part of your brand.
Could you describe what your flavor profile is?
For us, a lot of the time it's Americana. Especially at Loretta's, it's Americana. A lot of the flavor profiles were developed from my childhood, 35-year-old. So it's like early 90s is what I always think about with things. We all have the similar upbringings of what we all ate. Our Constellation brownie got really well known. We call it a Galaxy brownie, is that what we say?
Galaxy brownie?
Whatever we call it.
We don't call it a cosmic brownie because that is a brand.
So we call it a Constellation brownie.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like things that we all enjoyed as a kid, and it's like really took off quite well. But I think it just responds well to the fact of we're hitting nostalgic for people in a way that we're, again, creating a high quality product because we won't compromise on ingredients. There's a threshold. Again, I'm trying, as a business owner, I look at cost, I look at cost of labor, I look at cost of rent and all of those things. And then honestly, the ingredients in chocolate has gone up like crazy. Yeah. Chocolate is one of the most expensive things right now. So much so it's like do we have to change something right now? So it's like, do we want to put on that chocolate dessert that we were thinking about versus putting on something that's a little bit more economical? But as far as flavor profiles are concerned, it's way more about those memory associations than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting, especially with chocolate, because chocolate is the greatest food, I think, right, in the world. Like, it really is.
Hot take.
I mean, I think that's one of every single person in the world probably likes chocolate. Like, other people going around be like, chocolate, I'm not going to eat it.
Yeah.
Have you met a lot of chocolate haters?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what? No. Really?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I genuinely think that's crazy. Who's not enjoying chocolate?
I'll say I'm net neutral on chocolate. I like it. I am a pastry person. I've certainly worked with it a lot. I've worked in a chocolate shop, and I think it's a great flavor in the wheelhouse of flavors, but it is not something I seek out.
Okay, so you're neutral on chocolate, but you don't hate chocolate.
No,
I mean, there's not people going around being like, I don't like chocolate.
Yeah,
There are
I know
people,
someone who's allergic to chocolate.
That makes me so sad to even just think about.
Well, but that's your flavor profile, like as an emotional attachment to it. And that I think is what's the beauty of food, is that you can have this gut reaction to something that we just said, just like we had a gut reaction to you being like, no, what are you talking about? People hate chocolate.
Or the tiramisu, for example. Yeah. Like,
I know, and I'm still on that one. I'm like, my God.
I'm personally disappointed. I just may never have had a pretty good tiramisu, or even a great one, right? I've probably had some kind of crap South Jersey diner version of a tiramisu.
True. Yeah. I think also for me, because I'm from Central PA, Pennsylvania Dutch. I had a lot of German influence growing up and all of that stuff. Italian was not big for us. Italian was Olive Garden. Italian was Americana style of like spaghetti sauce on the pasta versus like tossed with it. Yeah. Tiramisu was one of the first desserts that I made in culinary school, that I learned the products through. Making ladyfingers, I was forcing myself to really like coffee, even though like I liked coffee, but I didn't know coffee. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know what I personally enjoyed. And I just remember it was the first dessert that I got to marry the two things that I liked. Yeah. I liked sweets. My waistline showed it, and like my love of sweets, but I never wanted to cook them. Yeah. And then I liked coffee, and this came together in this beautiful way. And then I got introduced to alcohol in the way of all the different types of things. And I like learned the ones that I liked, the ones that I didn't with this dessert. And I was just like, it was my adult dessert.
The alcohol comment, the thought that you had about, kids growing up, and it's really that first time you put something bitter in. Budweiser was my first beer.
Right. See?
What was your first beer? Do you remember?
That's a great question. Okay, so I went to Germany when I was 16.
Budweiser was my first binge beer. Sorry.
Oh, binge beer. Yeah. So, and I think that we had Heineken when I was 16. And I'm sure I had sips of beer before that, but I don't really remember it. And I hated it.
Well, it's not good.
Well, yes, but
I shouldn't say that. It's good for very specific things.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. Like hot day, outside barbecue.
Yeah. I mean, I am not a snob in pretty much any aspect.
She's not really.
I love me a shitty beer.
Yeah.
I love me a very nice beer. I love a packaged Pop-Tart. I love our Pop-Tarts.
But to talk about coffee, because actually that was a huge topic that I wanted to get into. I love coffee. I feel like I've zeroed in on exactly what kind of coffee that I love, but I certainly don't know the different flavor ranges of coffee are. So I would love to hear from the experts on coffee that maybe just explain it to people that everybody's drinking coffee all the time, but are you picking apart what you love? So that's the first question, but I'll also just put out there, just for me and my taste personally, I know that not to slag on Ultimo, but that style of coffee that they serve there. And I had a conversation with the owner of the Ultimo up on the 20th. They called it bright. It's like a very bright sour almost. And I can't stand it. People must love it, but I do not. I can't drink that kind of coffee. But I like the very heavily deep, dark roasted kind of coffee. So there must certainly be more types of coffee in the world between those two poles, if that's even what the extremes are. But can you talk to us a bit
Kelsey
about coffee?
Is certainly the expert on this, so go off, girl.
Well, you're not unique in that way. Everyone has this conversation. Whenever you have what we're considered as a specialty coffee or a third wave coffee shop, which is Ultimo. Ultimo was one of the first ones here in Philly because he was also Roaster Cafe. He was roasting his own beans. You're just like everyone else, mixing a few terminologies up as far as you're associating roast with origin. And origin can be like the different countries that they come from. And then all those beans can be processed in different ways. And those processes will affect how those beans taste as well. And then what the roaster does is then cooks the beans to a certain level that they want. So basically, if you want to talk about a steak, you're going from a rare to a well-done steak within how you're roasting these beans. And at every point in time, that meat will change a little bit within texture, but then also just within its actual flavor profile, right? The more you cook it, the more you might lose something else from it. These deep roasts are the biggest hurdle I think that third wave coffee has had to get through, or just specialty coffee, because I don't even know if we classify it as third wave anymore. I think that roast profile is the biggest thing that we have to get our customers to overcome, because we all associate American coffee as the end-all be-all. Folgers, La Colombe was huge, and even they were prevalent. They were bean to cafe type of people where they were sourcing their own, but roasting it to a flavor profile that they liked. So that bright coffee, all he's doing is not roasting it to an extent that you enjoy. His blend might be from Ethiopia, it might be from Rwanda, it might be from Brazil. He might be blending all three. It could be single origin where it's from a specific time and place. It can also be from a specific farm from that country as well. And then those beans go through different washing processes of like natural, which is a really fruity thing, versus fully washed, which is very clean. That clean then can be roasted very lightly and be super bright for you. So it's all about learning about what you like within coffee. I just had this conversation with 3 regulars that we have at Loretta's, where they're just like, so we have not liked the coffee lately. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, it's bitter and it's sour. And I said, you can't have both. And like we had to talk through it.
For something that is so ubiquitous, even just listening to you talk about that, it's amazing how much that I don't understand. Because when I listen to that, I put it in the category of wine, scotch.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I am not drinking wine and scotch every night. I have a vague kind of sense for, I love scotch, so I know a lot more about that. But it's crazy that I put coffee into my body every single morning, and I kind of know what I like, but I kind of don't know any of what's behind it.
Well, I think it's also your own personal motivation. We're all consumers, right? We consume coffee for a very quick reason why we need the caffeine, right? And you can sub that out if you want matcha, if you don't enjoy coffee but still need the caffeine. If you want the caffeine and you like Coca-Cola versus coffee, it's very 1 + 1 = 2, right? But within that, you can also enjoy the flavor profile of it. That's why we pick lattes, like an iced vanilla latte versus a cold brew or something like that. It's an enjoyment aspect of also getting that high, right? We always say that we're drug dealers in a legal drug dealing situation as far as caffeine. Just like within alcohol, you started with Budweiser, but that might not be what you enjoy right now because you learned, you experimented, and it's easier because there's labels. For coffee, I think it's more difficult because you'll find a roaster that you like and you might not know it, but because it's just getting you from point A to point B, as far as like getting you that jolt and you want to enjoy it, but you've gotten to that point and you're like, okay, cool. That's enough information.
A huge light bulb just went off for me. And that there's no brand association with coffee. Really, I mean, there's Starbucks and Pete's and all that, but there's so many different styles and roasts of like a Starbucks coffee that's like, I'm just grabbing Starbucks, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and I think our American food system is so commodified, right? So we think that sugar tastes like one thing. We think that flour tastes like another thing. Coffee tastes like another. But we have to remember that everything that we consume was once a living thing. So they're going to be affected by so many different things, so many different factors. We have commodified and industrialized our food system to the point where we have very specific lanes that we think very specific flavors belong to. But in reality, you can get as nerdy about coffee as you can about wine, as you can about sugar.
And I vastly expanded my sugar palette at home that I will put in a coffee. And I like that cane. I like a real heavy cane flavor, as it turns out, because I'll do some sugar in my coffee. Just kind of and half and half.
I love it when I'm traveling because here I'll just drink black coffee. If I'm drinking something espresso, it'll be a cortado, which is like a 1-to-1 ratio of 2 ounces of espresso, 2 ounces of milk. But when I'm traveling somewhere, I want to have like their coffees that they have. If you're in Italy, they'll sprinkle a little bit of sugar and cinnamon on top. And I'm like, ooh, this is delicious. If I was here, I would never do that. But I'm like, give me my cappuccino with my sugar on top.
I think about coffee when I go on the road or traveling around the world or whatever as one of those very, very challenging things because sure, when you go to Italy or you go to Spain or even in some places in Asia like Vietnam, they do coffee very well.
Mhm.
But then there are other countries, it's almost like the way New York sucks at beer. They're terrible at beer. Like go to a bar in New York and it's just the selection is not great compared to Philly for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course.
Yeah, and I struggle in some places where it's like, oh my God, how am I going to get coffee now that I like? To talk about coffee for just another minute though, the average person, is there a way that you would try to communicate to them, okay, if you really are interested in coffee, you're drinking it every day, here's how you're going to just learn to love it a little bit more. Is there something that you would tell them? Like, hey,
it's all about the curiosity from the consumer side. If there's no curiosity and you come across preachy, you're shutting down the conversation. No one wants to hear that. I think the majority of people have had experiences with coffee of either just love it or hate it. And so when you come into a coffee shop, you have ideas of what it could be. But you just said, like, there's places that I've had really bad coffees. And I think that that's the risk that we always have in America. I would say that. Places could be good, could be bad. So when you find a place that you enjoy and you want to go back, but you don't know why, I think it's the curiosity from the consumer.
I don't think that your coffee preference is ever bad, whatever you choose. Like if you are a caramel mocha frappuccino, 3 pumps of whatever person, hey, knock yourself out. That's awesome. Like if that's what you like, that's what you like. But if you know that about yourself, okay, I like my coffee on the sweeter side, and you do want to sort of expand your palate, you can go to these like specialty coffee shops and say, hey, this is what I usually get from Starbucks. So, I obviously like something on the sweeter side. I like this creaminess. What do you have that's maybe analogous to that? Or can you point me in a direction to like help me discover something new?
I also think it's really interesting because it just comes down to humility all the time from our side, from everything else. Because when I started in the coffee industry when I was 22, right? Very idealistic. The coffee shop I was working at, we made each cup of coffee to order. We had different roasts every day. All of these things was very, very snooty. I remember traveling to my friends in Tennessee and I brought like my own coffee equipment to make coffee for him. And he's just like, what in the world are you doing? Right? It was completely crazy. Now so that I'm selling blueberry thyme lattes and I was just like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. And I tried it and I was like, this is delicious. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, it paired so well. And I'm just like, thought this was an Instagram trend. And I'm like, oh my God. And now I'm like, oh my God, this is actually really good. So it's just like, I've grown up, I've evolved. And I've also like tried to just be way more open with getting people to appreciate all aspects of not only just food and wine and beer, but also coffee. And I think like our trend right now as a whole is people are drinking less, and that's what we're seeing. So it's just like either through sobriety purposes or just for our health purposes of whatever they want. We hit everyone's needs from the businesses. And within doing that, we like to just be approachable.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to close with a question, and I'm going to force the both of you to come to an agreement on this question because on this podcast here, I've been talking to just solo people most of the time. So I get the two of you, and now you need to agree. So if you had any one of the 5 tastes, so sweet, salty, sour, bitter, umami.
We just did this.
And I were to force you to live without one of them.
We just did this.
Did you really?
We did.
Okay.
We talked about this extensively. First of all, we argued viciously in favor of none of them because how can you separate them out? That's where we began. Yeah. But
I don't know if we came to an agreement.
I think we said umami.
I think we did say umami great.
Which is crazy because, umami's great, but like, how could I give up bitter or sour or sweet or salty?
Salt?
Yeah.
And like umami's that flavor enhancer.
Sure.
So it's so valuable. It's so quintessential. And like there's cuisines that are more so important than salt or something else. But I think for us, we were like, okay, we would give up umami.
Umami, huh?
Yeah, we would be very begrudging about it.
It's like cutting off a limb.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sophie's choice.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's a Sophie's choice sort of question, right? And it forces us to think about how all the different flavor profiles genuinely it's mix and create
Well, and I think for sure, because like coffee has umami and things like that, I think for sure because we are so food focused, way more so than like beverage focus. Personally, we were like, there's no way we can give up all these other things. But I think it came down to like our beverage director was like, really? You would give up umami? Like I have so many. I'm like, maybe I could give up sweet. And I'm like, really? You want to give up sweet? Like,
I'm so interested that you already had that conversation. That's really cool.
I don't even know what started it, but it was like a full on
We'd like to argue.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
It's a full day of going back and forth, like going into the kitchen, sitting back here, going out front, like the whole entire thing. We would just pick it back up.
What about you?
Well, I don't divulge any of my personal. No,
fair.
Just kidding. No, it's gone back and forth. I have definitely gotten some stuff wrong relative to umami, as I've learned and talked to people. I think even on this podcast, I used to think of umami as being out on an island or in left field as far as flavor goes, but it is the opposite, right? I mean, umami is, as you said, it is the great enhancer for things, and it's almost more interwoven into the enjoyment of food than anything else. But my version of that question, or my answer to that question, is really easy because it's sweet.
I knew it.
Well, thank you so much. What a great conversation. I really appreciate it. Thank you for allowing us to set up in your space. Yeah. Best of luck on everything. I really think it's awesome what you guys are doing. So,
Thanks. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for joining us on Fever for Flavor, a weekly podcast hosted by me, Evan Young, and produced by Studio D Podcast Production. If you want more content, go to feverforflavor.com. That's fever, the number 4, flavor.com. Feel free to email us at podcast@feverforflavor.com and follow us on Instagram @feverforflavor. Again, that's fever, the number 4, flavor. If you'd like to support Fever for Flavor, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All you have to do is open up the podcast app on your phone, look for Fever for Flavor, scroll down until you see Write a Review, and tell us what you think. Join me next week as we continue to explore the world of food and flavors here on Fever for Flavor.